Attention, don't leave. What you're about to hear isn't consolation, it's an activation. While others scroll past, you've been brought here by divine appointment. Archangel Michael stands before you with a golden scroll. It bears your name, your balance, your verdict. If you feel a tingling in your chest or a peace you can't explain, stay until the end. Today, the transfer that will change your story is signed. Subscribe now. Leave your amen in the comments and write, "I receive the approved to open the portal." Let's begin. Heaven keeps records more precise than any earthly book. And in this hour, that divine vault has opened. A voice resonates with loving authority. Stop, my child. This moment is no coincidence. It has been summoned. Before you, Archangel Michael appears, wrapped in golden light so intense the air seems to vibrate with his presence. In his hand he holds a radiant scroll, a celestial record written in living letters. Your name is on it. Each stroke glows with the imprint of your deeds, your tears, your silent days when you kept believing even when no one saw you. Michael unrolls it solemnly and says, "Heaven has audited your life. Every sacrifice, every surrender, every seed planted in faith has been recorded. Nothing was lost, nothing ignored. The angels have counted your steps in the darkness, and the Father has determined it's time for justice." The letters begin to move on the scroll. They're not just words, they're figures of energy, spiritual numbers aligning like equations of destiny. They represent your efforts, your prayers, your works. In that instant, heaven balances the scales. What you gave without reward now multiplies. What you lost in silence returns with divine interest. The archangel raises his gaze and says, "The record of your name was opened, and its balance is in your favor. You've passed the test of time. While others surrendered, you remained. When all fell silent, you worshipped. When the world pushed you to the limit, your faith kept breathing. That's why heaven has decreed transfer approved. In the heavens, a sound like 1,000 leaves falling softly is heard. It's the angelic signatures sealing your file. A stream of light descends over you and penetrates your chest. It doesn't hurt. It feels like a sacred warmth dissolving guilt, fears, and memories of scarcity. Michael continues, "Every time you thought you were alone, this record was being written. Every time you forgave in silence, another line was added. Every time you gave without having, heaven recorded a credit of love. Today, the divine court convenes not to judge you, but to reward you." The scroll rises slowly, and a voice from the throne declares, "This name has remained faithful. This heart has endured. Let what was withheld be released. Let the invisible be honored. Let the reward find its path." In that moment, the air fills with golden sparks swirling around you, as if the universe is celebrating. It's the movement of heaven processing your blessing. The angels review the files of time, eliminate delays, correct errors of destiny, align the numbers of the soul with eternal abundance. You feel something inside you activate, a soft but firm certainty. You're no longer waiting. You're receiving, and Michael, with a voice like sweet thunder, declares, "Your name has been rewritten in gold. It no longer appears under debt, but under grace. The energy around you changes from this instant. From today, the heavens will recognize your vibration as a signal of approval." Then he takes a step toward you, extends his sword of light, and touches your forehead. Let this mark be your reminder, he says. Heaven knows who you are, knows how much you endure, and it has decided to reward you. The record is open, the verdict is favorable, and the balance is multiplication. The sound of his voice expands like a sacred echo. The one who remained in faith will now see justice. What was denied on earth will be credited from heaven. The scroll closes slowly, but its glow remains, floating above your head. And Michael looks at you with infinite tenderness. This, he says, is just the beginning. What is signed on high today will soon manifest in the visible. Every number, every spiritual data point is being forwarded to the physical plane. What you gave returns, what you dreamed awakens. Stay in faith because heaven has already processed your name. The atmosphere fills with profound silence. It's not emptiness, it's presence. And that presence envelops you completely. You have been named by God. You have been remembered by heaven. The record of your name is open, and its sentence is clear. Favor multiplied, destiny restored, light activated. The spiritual atmosphere changes. The air around you seems charged with sacred electricity, as if the entire universe is holding its breath. In the midst of that luminous silence, Archangel Michael lowers his gaze to you and says, in a voice not heard with ears but felt directly in the soul, "The hour of your release has arrived. The code has been entered." From his hands emanates a golden glow that turns into living symbols, like letters of fire floating in the air. Each symbol vibrates with a different frequency, forming a celestial melody that penetrates the invisible layers of your being. They're not human words. They're codes of energy, divine sequences rewriting your story. Every spark bursting from his light represents something that once held you back. Emotional debts, broken promises, blocks hindering your growth, unconscious pacts with scarcity or fear. Everything tying you to the past begins to detach from you like old threads breaking without pain. Michael raises his sword and traces a spiral of light in the air. An angelic seal activating the code of divine release. As the spiral turns, the space around you clears. You feel a gentle warmth in your chest, a vibration rising slowly through your body. It's a new, pure, ordered frequency. And the Archangel says, this is the sound of unlocking. What was stalled for years now flows. What seemed closed opens effortlessly. What limited you dissolves before the light of truth. The code doesn't install outside you, but inside. In your mind, a new clarity begins to emerge. Negative thoughts lose strength. Doubts start melting like ice in the sun. It's as if an invisible web of energy woven by your ancient fears unravels thread by thread. Suddenly you hear a phrase that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. You are free. The echo of those two words multiplies inside you. It's not physical freedom, but spiritual. The freedom to no longer carry what doesn't belong to you, to not feel guilt for what has already been forgiven, to not bear responsibilities that aren't yours. Michael approaches, looks at your hands and says, "You've worked too hard carrying chains that weren't yours. This code breaks them. You've lived waiting for signs when you yourself were the sign. This code reveals it. You've prayed for doors without knowing heaven was waiting for you to dare grasp the key. This code delivers it. The spiral of light stops, and from its center emerges a golden figure, a seal glowing as if containing the sun's fire. The Archangel places it over your heart. You feel an intense expansion, your emotions turning liquid. A surge of gratitude, a mix of calm and strength, takes hold of you. The entire heaven seems to move. You hear the sound of wings, thousands of them beating in harmony, and you understand you're not alone. The angels are working on the invisible systems around you. While you remain in silence, they are touching accounts, records, memories, energetic contracts, structures distorted by time. Every time one of those codes touches a closed door in your story, that door opens gently. The Archangel says, "From today you won't chase anything. The blessing will pursue you. The good will find you, not because you seek it, but because you've been synchronized with its frequency." The numbers of heaven begin moving in sequence. You can see them, 722, 111, 88. They're figures heaven uses as a language of confirmation. Each represents a divine action already initiated. The 7, perfection of purpose. The 22, accelerated manifestation. The 111, aligned thought. The 888, infinite abundance. And Michael adds, if you see these numbers, don't ignore them. They're signals from the celestial system telling you the code is active. It's heaven saying we're working on it. A gentle wind passes in front of you. It's as if the universe exhales. And that sacred breeze carries your old burdens away. What weighed on you no longer does. What pursued you dissolves. What bound you yields to the light. In that instant, you understand something powerful. It wasn't that God didn't hear you. He was calibrating the exact moment to introduce the code activating today. He didn't forget your prayers. He was programming them for the perfect time. Michael tenderly raises his sword again and places it before your forehead. The blade glows like a mirror, and within it you see your reflection wrapped in light. The Archangel says, look at yourself. You're no longer the one crying for release. You're the one manifesting it. Don't seek open doors anymore. You yourself are the entrance through which heaven manifests on earth. The code vibrates. Its sound is almost imperceptible, but your soul recognizes it. It's the frequency of conscious freedom, effortless favor, grace finding its course. The flow begins to surround you. Your environment, your decisions, your body, your finances. Everything reorganizes, everything aligns, everything is freed. The angels bow, and Archangel Michael pronounces the final decree of this part. The code of release is active in you. Nothing can stop what heaven has approved. The flow cannot be reversed. What once moved against you now propels you. The energy of heaven has taken control. The entire space fills with a golden vibration, soft, constant, unbreakable. And in the midst of that light, Michael smiles and says, the release didn't come from outside. It was born inside you. What was prison is now temple. What was burden is now power. Then the light of the code merges with you. You no longer see it, but you feel it in every breath, every thought, every decision. Your spirit has been recalibrated, and from this moment, the universe recognizes a new signal in you, the frequency of one released by heaven. The vault opened to the sound of silence, growing denser, deeper, as if the entire universe were awaiting the next decree. The light around you shifts tone, from warm gold to pure white, brilliant and soft. At the same time, you feel the air itself transform, the atmosphere purify. Suddenly, Archangel Michael raises his right hand, the same one holding the sword of light, and with a firm gesture, points upward. An immense golden vault appears suspended in the firmament. It's not a physical structure, but a spiritual chamber, a celestial safe, guarding the treasures of the righteous, the rewards of the faithful, the results of prayers that had no visible echo until today. Over the door is a luminous seal written in celestial language. The letters move with life of their own, forming a phrase your spirit understands without translation. Here is kept what you thought lost. Michael approaches the vault. Each step produces waves of energy traveling toward you, cleansing your surroundings, dissolving ancient densities, clearing the spiritual environment of any interference. With solemnity, the Archangel says, "Heaven doesn't forget. Nothing given from a pure heart is wasted. Every tear was a seed, every sacrifice an investment. Today, the vault where your fruits were stored opens." His words activate a majestic movement. The vault's door begins turning on itself, releasing a glow so intense it seems to multiply the day's light. There's no sound of metal or locks, just a soft hum, like the song of an invisible choir celebrating divine justice. When the door opens fully, a torrent of liquid light spills out. It flows like a golden river but doesn't burn. It caresses, cleanses, restores. And within that current, you see objects that aren't material but have form. Keys representing accesses denied to you. Crowns signifying recognition and honor. Golden envelopes containing fulfilled promises and reactivated contracts. Seeds of light symbolizing new opportunities ready to sprout. Michael takes one of those envelopes and raises it before you. Upon opening it, a blue glow rises like a flame that doesn't consume. And he says, "This is what heaven owed you, not because you demanded it, but because you persevered. Not because you claimed it, but because you waited." The Archangel's words resonate in the four winds, and the echo seems to awaken dormant memories. Moments when you gave without being seen, helped without thanks, sowed without applause. Each becomes a spiritual coin returning multiplied now. Heaven's vault doesn't return equal. It returns increased, corrected, sanctified. The Archangel continues, "Many thought your efforts were in vain, but heaven classified them as eternal investments. Every act of kindness, every act of faith, every time you smiled while it hurt was stored here. In this vault, the air fills with a subtle perfume, a mix of myrrh and jasmine, the scent in celestial tradition announcing the release of promises. You feel that aroma penetrate your senses, calming your mind, relaxing your body, harmonizing your energy. And Archangel Michael, with a voice seeming to cross realms, proclaims, "The delays have been eliminated. The blocks have been erased from the file of your life. The stalled processes have been reactivated. Heaven has signed your advancement." As he speaks, you see small symbols floating above your head like letters of golden fire falling slowly. Each symbol touching your skin turns to light, and from that light emerge relief, clarity, peace, purpose. No more confusion, no more doubt, only certainty. Michael smiles. His intense yet sweet gaze fixes on you, and he says, "Look closely at what you see now." Everything the enemy thought it stole from you was only stored in this vault to return to you in due time. The losses were temporary, the pause is strategic, the silence is storage. Then he spreads his wings, covering the horizon. His feathers shine like infinite mirrors, reflecting images of your life. Difficult moments, betrayals, closed doors, but also glimpses of what's to come. And in each reflection, the same phrase appears engraved in light, restored with celestial interest. The vault begins releasing an even more powerful current. It's not just energy, it's direction. You feel something inside you realign, as if your entire life organizes with divine precision. Chaos orders itself, paths straighten, the right people start moving toward you effortlessly. The flow activates. The Archangel pronounces a final declaration. The vault has been opened, and what was on hold can no longer remain hidden. Heaven has signed the reboot of your purpose. From today, everything that belongs to you will find you. From the vault comes a final wave of light, rising to the firmament and then descending over you like golden rain. Each drop touching your skin becomes a distinct blessing, an idea, a connection, a door, a healing. And Michael concludes, you won't have to chase anything. The good, the favor, and the provision will follow your trail like a shadow of glory. Because where heaven opens a vault, the earth responds with multiplication. Then the door closes gently again, not as an end, but as a sealed commitment. You know that vault is no longer in the distant heaven. It now lives inside you. And every time you give thanks, it will open a little more, pouring its contents with divine accuracy over every area of your life. As the light stabilizes, you hear the Archangel's last phrase resonating like an eternal echo. Child of the promise. You weren't forgotten, you were reserved. Heaven's vault opens only for those who remain, and you remained. And so the glow merges with you. The vault is sealed within you, and your spirit begins to beat in sync with the abundance from on high. You have officially entered the frequency of fulfillment. Heaven doesn't open doors without purpose, nor windows without synchronization. When Archangel Michael extends his hand toward the horizon, the air stills. A silent stream of energy begins moving from the invisible. It's a gentle but powerful breath. You feel time slow, the world's noise fade, and only that pure instant remains, the exact moment when the divine aligns with your life. Then Michael says, in a voice resonating like thunder wrapped in tenderness, "Look, beloved child, a sacred window has opened over you." Before your eyes, the sky parts as if a veil of light tears. An oval opening emerges, luminous, floating between dimensions. It's not a door. It's a spiritual access point, a threshold where the invisible becomes tangible. From within flows a golden breeze laden with calm, and every breath emanating from it carries a celestial word. You don't hear them with your ears. You feel them in your spirit, approved, released, blessed. That window wasn't opened by chance. It was activated by your acts of faith, your nights without surrender, your prayers whispered low when no one listened. Heaven kept it sealed until your heart was ready to receive without fear what you asked for with such longing. Archangel Michael extends his sword and rests it on the edge of that luminous window. At the contact, a sound like shattering crystal is heard, but there's no destruction, only expansion. The space illuminates even more. Through the glow you see movements, faces, places. They're the scenes of your destiny beginning to align. The Archangel explains, every prayer you made was a coordinate. Every tear you shed was a request. Every time you believed without evidence was a signature. This window is the answer. From the opening begins a fine rain of light. Each particle touching the earth turns into a living seed. Those seeds aren't material things yet, but they contain the form of what's coming. Contracts, opportunities, reconciliations, healings, financial releases, doors you thought closed forever. Michael walks toward you, and with the tip of his sword touches your forehead, sealing in you the symbol of alignment. In that moment you understand this window won't stay open long. It's a temporal portal, a sacred interval where heaven listens with maximum sensitivity. And he says, in this hour every thought of yours is a seed. Every word of yours is a decree. Every act of yours is an offering. What you say in faith will be established. Your mind quiets. Your breathing synchronizes with heaven's frequency, and suddenly a luminous thought pierces your spirit. This is happening now. It's no longer promise. It's fulfillment in process. The Archangel smiles. His wings unfold, filling the sky with reflections of deep blue and gold. In his gaze there's no hurry, only certainty. And with solemnity he says, there are people remembering you right now without knowing why. There are doors opening without you pushing them. There are systems readjusting their numbers to include your name. Heaven is touching invisible keys in your favor. Suddenly you feel your chest vibrate. It's not fear, it's power. It's the heart responding to the portal's frequency. Each beat seems to say, I'm ready. And Michael responds, what you asked for financially, what you hoped for emotionally, what you needed spiritually, it's being approved in this sacred window. It's not luck, it's synchronicity. The light intensifies. From the window descends a ribbon of energy, floating like a river suspended in the air. Within it, you see scenes of people moving, a businessman signing an agreement, a woman receiving an unexpected message, a young man finding an opportunity that changes everything. And you understand, heaven doesn't work on one front. It's operating in networks simultaneously, weaving threads of grace that will soon converge in your life. Michael positions himself behind you, places his hand on your shoulder, and declares, your name has been marked for favor. What once rejected you now seeks you. What drifted away returns redeemed. What seemed impossible becomes natural. The window emits a final luminous pulse, a flash piercing you completely. There's no noise, no explosion, just a cosmic sigh, heaven's breath entering sync with yours. Your body relaxes, but your spirit awakens. You feel a mix of gratitude and sacred tremor, as if something just passed that your eyes haven't seen yet, but your soul already recognizes as truth. Michael looks at you once more and says, don't doubt the process. This window won't close until the promised manifests. But listen well, don't look back. If you try to return to the old, the portal stops. Walk in faith on the ground. Heaven supports your step. The Archangel raises his sword and places it before the window. From its tip detaches a spark of fire floating toward you and adhering to your heart. He says, this fire is the sign. When you feel peace amid chaos, you'll know it's still open. When you receive unexpected news, you'll know the process advances. When everything seems to move in your favor, without explanation, you'll understand the window is still acting. The golden breeze returns, warmer than before. It envelops you, cleanses you, renews you. And finally, Michael's voice resonates softly, almost a whisper. This is your window of grace, your moment of alignment. Don't waste it with doubt or fear. Elevate your faith, maintain your gratitude. Heaven opened this window only for you. Then the light from the portal concentrates into a point, a small sun entering your chest directly. The window fades slowly, but its energy remains alive inside you. Now you know the connection doesn't depend on distant heaven. The window is in your spirit, ready to open every time you believe again. In that instant, Michael pronounces the phrase, sealing this part of the revelation. Child of the Most High, your faith has activated divine approval. What corresponds to you by right of purpose has already been released. Give thanks, because heaven has already said yes. The celestial wind blows once more. You feel your surroundings change. The very atmosphere respond to heaven's order. The sacred window doesn't close. It stays open inside you, reminding you that favor doesn't arrive, it flows. Heaven doesn't speak with noise, but with precision. When Archangel Michael extends his sword toward the air, an invisible current sweeps the atmosphere. The energy vibrates around you as if a sacred frequency slowly envelops you, awakening something dormant in the soul. Then the Archangel declares in a serene, firm, profound voice, "Beloved child, now comes the time of signs. The divine seal has already been stamped on your name, but proofs of its fulfillment will appear as flashes, not thunder. Don't seek them in the world's noise, but in the small miracles that seem like coincidences." Around him the air fills with tiny sparks. They're not ordinary lights. Each carries a message, a code, a frequency. Some look like repeating numbers, 111, 222, 77. Others transform into symbols, a dove, a key, a circle of gold. The Archangel smiles and explains, "These are the signs of the seal, heaven's reminders that the process is underway. Every number, every synchronicity, every impossible coincidence is God's voice whispering, 'It's already done.'" And as you listen, a warm sensation courses through your body. It's not emotion. It's living energy, moving in a spiral, cleansing doubt, untying anxiety. And in that instant, you understand. Heaven doesn't respond with words, it responds with signs. Memories come to mind of recent moments. The clock showing the same time 3 times in a row, days when you heard your name without knowing why, strange encounters with people repeating phrases you'd already dreamed. They weren't coincidences, they were confirmations. Each was a seal, an invisible mark heaven left as proof of movement. The Archangel continues, "Humans demand proofs, but children of the kingdom receive signs, because faith isn't demonstrated, it's confirmed, and these confirmations will appear one after another until you can no longer deny it. An unexpected call, an opportunity that seemed lost, a person returning to settle the pending, or a message arriving just when you thought of giving up. Each will carry my signature. From his chest bursts a glow at his side. That light advances until it surrounds you like a translucent sphere. Within it, images of the past, your tears, your failures, your nights of silence, transform into luminous flashes. Michael raises his hand and with a gentle gesture says, "The seal doesn't just mark the new, it also redeems the old. What once weighed now becomes testimony. What once stopped you now propels you. Everything that was loss, heaven transforms into resource. Udam, the spiritual ground under your feet vibrates as if a river of energy begins flowing toward you from the depths. You don't see it with physical eyes, but you feel its constant rhythm, an ascending flow, powerful, unstoppable. It's the invisible sign that the seal is activating your atmosphere." And Michael proceeds in prophetic tone. "There will be days when you feel nothing extraordinary, but still the signs will be working. They'll move in the invisible field, in numbers, in glances, in dreams, in messages arriving by chance. Don't underestimate the details. Heaven doesn't speak in shouts, it speaks in patterns. A dove of light crosses the scene and perches on the Archangel's sword. Its body glows with silver tones, and from its chest detaches a musical note resonating in the air. It's a short melody, simple but vibrant. Each note penetrates your soul and activates dormant memories. Suddenly, you understand the signs aren't just external, they're inside you too. Intuitions, impulses, repeating dreams, thoughts arriving with sudden clarity. That's how heaven converses with your spirit. The Archangel continues, "Some will see your signs and not understand them because they weren't written for them but for you. Don't rush to explain them, just thank them, and the flow will strengthen. The signs are how heaven calibrates your faith." Then Michael takes his sword and rests it on the ground. From its tip emanates a stream of blue fire, forming a circle around you. The circle rises slowly, becoming a ring of light spinning around you. Within that glow, you see future scenes. You celebrating, you laughing, you receiving what you thought lost. And the Archangel declares, "Every image you see is a future sign of fulfillment. When that moment arrives, you'll know what you feel today was real. This is faith, recognizing the signs before seeing the facts. You feel the message's urgency. Your heart beats strongly, and an inner voice whispers, 'Remember this when everything seems still, because even silence is a sign.' It means heaven is working on the details." The Archangel leans slightly toward you and says, "From now on, pay attention to small movements, the wind entering the window when you pray, the message arriving just when you think of surrendering, the number repeating on the screen, the face returning after years. Don't ignore them. They're the golden crumbs of the kingdom guiding you to the banquet prepared for you." From his back emerge beams of light, extending like paths. Each ray connects to a different direction, one toward your family, another toward your projects, another toward your finances, another toward your purpose. And he explains, these lines are the channels of manifestation. The signs activate the paths. When you honor a sign, when you give thanks, when you believe, the channel strengthens. When you ignore or doubt it, it weakens. That's why. Give thanks even when you don't understand. And around you begin appearing small golden feathers floating in the air. Some fall slowly, others disintegrate into light before touching the ground. They're reminders that angels are present, working in the spaces of your day-to-day. Michael pronounces, the close of this part. Beloved child, the seal you carry is invisible, but its evidence will be undeniable. Don't seek spectacular signs. Seek heaven's subtlety moving in your steps, and when you feel sudden peace, a calm without reason, you'll know the seal has been activated again. Heaven stills, your breathing slows, and a phrase appears written in the air with letters of living light. The one who recognizes the signs accelerates their fulfillment. The Archangel looks at you with infinite tenderness and adds, you will doubt no more. Your spiritual eyes open today. From this moment, heaven will speak to you in synchronicities, and your soul will know how to understand. And in that instant, a final flash crosses the celestial vault. You feel a gentle shiver, a peace so deep no words can describe it. The seal is no longer just in the heavens. Now it vibrates in your heart, and every beat silently repeats the eternal message. Heaven has remembered you, and its signs will accompany you. Heaven doesn't approve by emotion, but by justice. And in this instant, the divine scales tip in your favor. Archangel Michael remains before you, wrapped in a glow growing and pulsing like a living heart. His sword is sheathed because there's no longer battle. What comes now isn't war, but verdict. A warm, luminous wind descends from the firmament, swirling around you. The air vibrates with a sacred murmur indescribable in human words, a sound between music and breath, the exact vibration of heaven pronouncing your name. And suddenly, God's voice is heard, not from outside, but from within you. The transfer has been approved. The universe stops. Time seems to bow before that declaration. What was pending activates. What was paused accelerates. A wave of golden energy descends over your spirit, penetrating every part of your being. It's not a passing emotion, it's heaven's movement entering your personal atmosphere. Michael raises his right hand, and in it appears a parchment wrapped in blue fire. The fire doesn't destroy, it purifies. The Archangel unrolls it slowly, and every letter appearing is written in light. You don't read words, you read energy, and each line vibrates within you. On that parchment is the celestial record of your destiny, ancient promises, dormant dreams, harvests awaiting their hour. The Archangel looks into your eyes and declares, everything withheld by opposition, unbelief, or fear has now been released by divine favor. This transfer isn't earthly currency, it's authority, purpose, and honor. The invisible translates to the visible. You feel as if a torrent crosses your body. It's not something entering from outside, but something awakening inside you. Your spirit begins remembering who you truly are, a child of the Most High, heir to the kingdom, bearer of promises that don't cancel. That awareness becomes tangible, almost physical. Every cell in your body responds to the decree as if spiritual DNA reactivates after long silence. Michael continues, in a voice both firm and sweet. Heaven doesn't transfer wealth. It transfers purpose. And when purpose aligns, wealth follows. That's why what arrives now isn't just provision, it's assignment. Not just money, but validation. Not just abundance, but justice. Then he extends his sword and touches the ground before you. From the point where the blade meets the earth bursts liquid light, expanding in all directions, like a river traversing the paths of your life, your home, your relationships, your body, your finances, your projects. Everything that was dry begins glowing with a moist, fresh, living radiance. Heaven's energy enters your roots. The Archangel smiles slightly and says, "This is the moment heaven stops being promise and becomes evidence. Doors won't open by effort, but by frequency. When the vibration of faith matches heaven's vibration, the flow becomes natural, continuous, sustained. Around you, the spiritual landscape changes. The surrounding colors intensify. Gold mixes with deep blue and silver flashes. The air feels lighter, as if the invisible weight you'd carried for years dissolves in seconds. It's not imagination. It's the removal of delay's energetic burden. Heaven is balancing your accounts." Michael takes the parchment he still holds and places it over your head. As he does, a rain of light falls over you as if the document spills. Each drop carries invisible codes of restoration. You see them transform into visions, people approaching to help you, doors opening where there was once rejection, resources arriving from unexpected sources, your name spoken in places of influence you never imagined. And the Archangel explains, the celestial transfer doesn't happen in one act, it happens in waves. The first touches your mind, clearing confusion. The second touches your heart, healing fear. The third touches your surroundings, reordering chaos. And the fourth touches your destiny, manifesting what was already decreed. Each wave passes through you. The first cleanses limiting thoughts, no more doubt. The second softens your emotions, resentment dissolves. The third surrounds you, everything seems clearer, more harmonious, as if the universe itself aligned with you. And the fourth makes your spirit tremble gently, not in fear but in reverence. It's the final confirmation. Michael then pronounces the key word, sealing this balanced movement. Heaven has balanced your accounts, not just the earthly ones, but the emotional, spiritual, and familial. Nothing remains pending. Losses are compensated, injustices corrected, errors redeemed. Your story won't be remembered for what you lacked, but for what heaven multiplied. The Archangel approaches and places his hand on your chest. His palm burns, with blue light slowly entering your heart, and whispers, "Don't take this as an isolated miracle. It's a permanent frequency change. From now on, heaven and you breathe at the same rhythm. Your spirit has been synchronized with the eternal flow. What you give returns, what you sow blooms, what you believe manifests." A tear of golden fire falls from the Archangel's eyes and rests on your forehead. It doesn't burn, it illuminates. And in that touch, the entire universe seems to bow toward you. Everything vibrates in unison. Your heart beats once, and that pulse expands like a cosmic echo. Every part of creation responds. Then Michael looks toward heaven and declares with authority, "Transfer approved." Heaven has released what belongs to you. The name is sealed, the signature placed, and the decree already sent to the earthly plane. Nothing, not man, not spirit, not circumstance, can reverse what has been authorized by the throne. The echo of those words resonates beyond time. You feel a current of absolute peace coursing through your entire body, and you understand the transfer isn't just something arriving to you, it's something starting to flow through you. The Archangel smiles once more and says, in the voice of a master who knows every soul by its essence, what you receive today isn't just a blessing, it's divine responsibility. Use this favor to heal, to build, to multiply the light, because heaven doesn't transfer to enrich pockets, but to expand the kingdom. And finally, as his figure surrounds itself with blue and golden glows, his last words seal the scene like an eternal decree. From this day, every step you take will bear the footprint of favor. Every word you speak will open paths. Every act you do in love will activate multiplication. You have been transferred from waiting to fulfillment, from process to promise, from desert to harvest. The sacred wind blows one last time. Heaven sings in silence, and you, without realizing, smile with tears in your eyes. You're no longer the one asking, you're the one receiving. And an invisible voice, the same one that called you at the beginning, whispers now in the depths of your spirit, all that was debt has become inheritance. All that was loss has transformed into purpose. All that you hoped for is already on its way. Heaven stills. The Archangel moves away slowly, leaving a constant glow in his wake. And in the air remains a phrase engraved with divine fire. Transfer approved, destiny activated, perpetual favor. Heaven doesn't improvise. Every event, every encounter, every delay has divine geometry. Nothing happens by chance when the kingdom is moving its pieces. And in this sacred hour, Archangel Michael approaches one step closer to you. His presence glows with such exact intensity that the air seems to fracture into particles of light. The atmosphere becomes a living map. Every ray, every sound, every vibration has purpose. The Archangel places his hand on the space before you and draws a golden line in the air. That line curves, forms a perfect circle, and then begins expanding. What you observe isn't just any symbol, it's the matrix of celestial precision, the plane where time and eternity intersect. With solemn voice, Michael declares, "Beloved child, listen to this. Heaven never arrives late or early, but exactly in the second, your soul and destiny are ready to meet." Around him the firmament opens, revealing a series of suspended clocks turning in different directions. Some mark hours, others beat like hearts, and one, the largest in the center, has your name engraved in letters of fire. Each tick of that clock doesn't represent a minute, but a divine action executed with absolute precision. The Archangel continues, "For years you thought heaven had forgotten you, but heaven doesn't forget, it programs. Every delay you suffered was an adjustment to perfect time. Every door that closed was a coordinate correction, and every unanswered prayer was a seed on pause, waiting for the exact season to bloom." The word precision resonates within you like an echo awakening something dormant. Suddenly you remember past moments, losses, pauses, broken paths, and without knowing how, you begin seeing them from another angle. What once hurt now makes sense. What seemed unjust now glows with purpose. It was heaven ordering your steps without your permission, but with your benefit in mind. Michael takes a step forward, and the ground under his feet lights up like a board of light. Each square glows. with a different color, and each color represents a stage of your life. Red of struggle, blue of silence, gold of waiting, white of revelation. They all move and unite until forming a single stream of gold, heading straight toward you. "Look closely," says the Archangel. "Nothing you lived was loss. It was alignment. Heaven doesn't waste pain. Every tear you shed became a coordinate. Every disappointment a course correction. Every farewell a sacred redirection." Then the Archangel raises his sword and holds it in the air. From its blade burst sparks, spinning and turning into tiny stars. Each star represents a name, a connection, an opportunity, an event programmed to meet you. He says, nothing arrives by accident. Even the people who hurt you were part of the design. They fulfilled the task of pushing you toward the version of yourself heaven needed to manifest. The sound of the spinning stars becomes background melody, hypnotic and serene. The Archangel smiles tenderly and adds, "Listen, my child. Now heaven is orchestrating the exact movements to place the final pieces on your board. People who forgot you will remember you again. Stalled projects will move again. Resources that seemed unreachable will flow again. And it will all happen in perfect synchronicity, like notes fitting into an eternal symphony. The air vibrates, and the stars that were spinning begin aligning slowly, forming constellations. Each has the shape of a symbol, a key, a crown, a bridge, a rising sun. And each figure represents something being restored: access, authority, connection, purpose. The Archangel leans a bit toward you, and his gaze penetrates your deepest being. "Do you feel the pulse?" he asks. "That beat accompanying you for minutes isn't your heart. It's heaven's clock beating with you. It has been synchronized. You're no longer outside divine time. You're inside the exact compass where everything begins fulfilling. You feel a gentle shiver in your back, a chill that brings not fear but power. Something invisible settles inside you, like a key turning in an ancient lock. The Archangel, satisfied, declares, "The calibration is complete. From today, no movement of yours will be random. Every step, every word, every encounter will have celestial precision. Heaven will even use your mistakes to fulfill its design. Around you begin manifesting images of your immediate future, a signature on an important document, a conversation unlocking doors, a seemingly casual encounter ending in opportunity. None of that will be coincidence." The Archangel confirms it with a phrase cutting the air like a decree. Chance has stopped ruling you. Now you walk in divine synchronicity. Michael spreads his wings, and the surroundings change completely. You're no longer under a static sky, but inside a moving firmament. It's as if the stars respond to his voice. Every time he pronounces your name, a star lights up, and with each one glowing, an area of your life reactivates. Your relationships begin healing, your resources begin flowing, your purpose begins expanding. The Archangel raises his sword, and the light it emits splits into 3 rays, heading to different horizon points. As you follow with your gaze, he says, "These are the 3 paths of your divine precision, the path of repair, where everything broken will be restored, the path of recognition, where you'll be seen by those who once ignored you, and the path of reward, where you'll receive what you already sowed." Heaven vibrates, and a slow, resonant bell toll fills the space. The sound doesn't come from any object, but from the heart, from eternity. Michael closes his eyes and prays, "Eternal Father, balance the times of your child. Let years of waiting be compensated by days of favor. Let past tears become present fruits. Let the precision of your word be fulfilled without error." The silence following that prayer is so profound, the air seems to stop. Then something happens. The golden line the archangel traced at the beginning begins spinning like a ring around you. It spins once, twice, 3 times, and stops over your chest. In that moment, sacred warmth floods you. It's the seal of divine synchronicity. The archangel smiles and says, "From now on, nothing will advance or delay in your life. What is your name will arrive in its exact instant. What isn't aligned will stop effortlessly. You won't need to push. Heaven has its own clock, and you've just entered its schedule. An immense sense of relief fills you. No more struggle, no more hurry, no more doubt, only certainty. The entire universe feels in order. The archangel folds his wings, leans in, and says in a tone like an eternal decree, heaven's precision is active over you. Don't fear delays or detours. Even detours are exact routes when heaven traces them. Rest in the synchronicity of the Most High, because everything belonging to your purpose now moves at the perfect speed of the kingdom." And as his words dissolve into the light, you hear a phrase piercing your soul like a final seal. You're not arriving late. You're arriving just when heaven needs you there. The atmosphere remains impregnated with that eternal echo. Your spirit knows it. Time has stopped being an enemy. Now it's an ally, a messenger, a tool working in favor of your destiny. And you, under Michael's glow, feel for the first time what it truly means to walk in divine precision. Heaven doesn't deposit its treasure in those who only seek to receive, but in those who know how to hold what is received. And it is in this moment, when the divine current has already descended over you, that Archangel Michael approaches once more. His gaze shines with that clarity not learned, but inherited from the throne. Around him the air trembles, not in violence, but in a living force that breathes, orders, instructs. The archangel stops before you. The light enveloping him changes color, leaving the gold of favor for a pure white tone, as if everything unnecessary had been removed from the atmosphere. Then he speaks, and his voice not only crosses the air, it crosses skin, mind, history, and reaches the soul. You have been aligned with heaven's flow, my child. You have received what was sealed for you before time, but now comes the secret many ignore. Receiving isn't enough. You must learn to hold, because the divine flow doesn't impose by force, it maintains by frequency. Around him begin floating spheres of light. Each glows with a different color, and each color contains a vibration, a message, a principle. Michael extends his hand, and with a smooth movement, forms 3 symbols suspended in the air before you. They're not letters, but their meaning is clear, unmistakable: peace, gratitude, obedience. These 3, says the archangel, are the pillars of eternal flow. If one breaks, the channel deviates. But if they remain firm, the current never interrupts. Listen and engrave these words in your interior, because on them depends whether what you received remains, grows, and multiplies. Peace attracts. The atmosphere becomes more serene, as if time had slowed its course. The surrounding light expands in bluish tones, and a gentle wind begins blowing with the softness of a divine whisper. Michael raises his gaze to heaven and declares solemnly, heaven doesn't flow amid chaos. Where there is anxiety, the kingdom's frequency can't resonate. Peace isn't absence of battle, it's authority over it. When your interior rests, heaven's energy finds space to move. Suddenly, a vision appears before you, a crystalline river flowing between mountains. Its waters are clear, reflecting the sun's light, advancing effortlessly. But when a rock falls, the water clouds its reflection distorts. The archangel explains, so it is with the human soul. When you let worry or fear invade your thoughts, heaven's reflection breaks inside you. But when you choose to guard inner silence, the river clears and abundance returns. Peace isn't an emotion, it's a spiritual decision. It's the key keeping the current open. Michael extends his sword and touches the river's water. In that instant, the channel glows with supernatural intensity and flows faster, purer. Every time you preserve calm when everything around you shakes, you make space for angels to work. Every breath in peace is permission for heaven to continue its labor. Then he approaches closer, looks inside you, and says in a voice vibrating between tenderness and authority, "Don't lose peace, even in the storm. Because if you lose peace, you close the channel. But if you remain calm, even chaos will serve as your vehicle." Peace is heaven's language. Gratitude multiplies. The atmosphere changes color. Now gold dominates the scene, a liquid gold falling from heaven like rain. The drops aren't mere flashes. Each carries a word you once said in faith. A thank you pronounced amid pain, a smile on difficult days, a prayer whispered between tears. The Archangel raises his hands and says, "Heaven doesn't multiply what you ask with fear, but what you thank with confidence." Gratitude is the vibration expanding invisible blessings. Every time you give thanks, you activate the law of divine expansion. You see the golden drops fall to the ground and germinate instantly into luminous flowers. Each flower bears a name: love, healing, restoration, provision, favor. And Michael explains, even when you don't see results, every word of gratitude opens doors in higher planes. Angels respond first to the thankful heart before desperate pleas. The soul that gives thanks emits a sound the universe recognizes as a signal of abundance. That's why, my child, give thanks even for what hasn't arrived yet, because in doing so, you're declaring you already trust. The Archangel pauses, breathes the golden air, and adds, "Thanksgiving isn't a habit. It's a state of consciousness. It's knowing everything that happens, even what hurts, can be used by God to bless you. Thanking when it's already fulfilled is human gratitude. Thanking before seeing it is divine faith." Then he extends his sword toward you. A spark jumps from the blade and touches your chest. You feel a deep expansion, a warmth flooding you completely. In that moment, you understand gratitude doesn't just connect you to the heights. It transforms you into a channel of multiplication, into someone who not only receives, but distributes blessing. Obedience sustains. The atmosphere transforms again. The golden light mixes with an amber glow, intense and warm. The Archangel stands firm and plants his sword in the ground. From the earth rises a circle of white fire surrounding you, and Michael declares, in a voice vibrating like divine thunder, "Heaven doesn't bless impulse, but alignment." Obedience doesn't always lead you by easy paths, but by the exact path. Obedience keeps the channel clean. It's the silent vow sustaining what is received. Then the space opens, and before you project paths of light crossing each other. Some seem shorter, others longer. Some full of shine, others covered in shadow. The Archangel shows you 3 paths leading to the same luminous mountain on the horizon, and says, "Every decision you make opens a route." Obedience isn't thoughtless surrender, it's harmony with purpose. When you follow divine instruction, even without understanding it, you walk in sync with God's rhythm. You see the steepest path glowing with greater intensity. And Michael explains, the path that seems hardest is often the fastest because it eliminates noise, purifies intention, and leaves you only with faith. Sometimes heaven leads you by routes you don't understand, not to punish, but to train. Because one who learns to obey without conditions sustains the flow without interruptions. The Archangel takes a small luminous stone from the ground and places it in your hand. The stone beats like a heart. This is the sign of living obedience. Every time you follow a divine instruction, even without immediate results, you'll feel this vibration. That will be your confirmation you're on the right path. And he adds, don't fear mistakes if your intention is pure. Heaven corrects the obedient, doesn't punish them. Obedience isn't servitude, it's collaboration. When you act in harmony with what you know is right, the flow strengthens. When you ignore the inner voice for convenience, the channel weakens. The archangel straightens and opens his wings slowly. A current of white, blue, and golden light forms around you both. The air vibrates as if an invisible choir begins singing a continuous, soft, endless note. And Michael says, this is sustaining the flow, remaining in peace when the world agitates, thanking when others complain, and obeying when there's no logic, only direction. These three keys keep the current of favor alive. The light covers everything. You feel something inside you stabilize, as if the chaos that once agitated you had surrendered. No more resistance. The flow isn't outside, it's in you. Your breathing synchronizes with the universe's pulse. Heaven and you beat at the same rhythm. The archangel closes his eyes and pronounces the final decree of this teaching. What is kept in peace expands. What is thanked multiplies. What is obeyed is consecrated, and what is consecrated is never lost. Then he raises his sword to the heights, and from the firmament descends a column of light, piercing your body from crown to feet. That light doesn't weigh. It lightens you, cleanses you of ancient residues, inherited fears, repeated thoughts. And as the energy stabilizes in you, you understand something transcendent. There's no effort in the divine, only alignment. The archangel approaches one last time, places his hand on your chest and whispers, don't fear losing what was given by heaven. No one can take what is maintained with gratitude. And when doubt tries to return, breathe and remember, the flow doesn't depend on your strength, but on your faith. The surroundings suspend in silence. The light becomes soft and constant, like a dawn that doesn't end. You feel a circular vibration, a slow and continuous movement that doesn't fade. It's the pulse of the flow. And now you know that as long as you live in peace, thank the invisible and obey the inner voice, heaven won't stop moving in your favor. Michael smiles, satisfied, and says in a voice almost inaudible, but eternal, you have learned the art of sustaining the divine. You're no longer just receiver, you've become channel. Through you will flow provision, comfort, and miracles. Because one who sustains the flow becomes a living extension of heaven. The air vibrates with that last phrase, and the scene dissolves slowly. Nothing fades. Everything integrates. Now you understand the flow isn't an event, it's communion. And as your spiritual eyes open, you recognize the final truth. Heaven doesn't visit you, it lives in you. And as long as your soul remains in peace, gratitude, and obedience, the flow will never cease. Heaven can't pour fullness into a heart that still sees itself small. That's why, after teaching you to sustain the flow, Archangel Michael leads you to a deeper revelation, your identity and coverage. Because nothing heaven delivers can remain. If you don't know who you are under that light, and if you don't, understand you've been surrounded by invisible protection, operating beyond all human logic. The surroundings begin to change. The bright gold softens, giving way to a white light that doesn't dazzle but purifies. The air smells different, a mix between incense and earth after rain. You feel a peace not from silence, but from recognition. You're being led to the center of yourself, where God's voice dwells. The archangel approaches. His wings extend slowly, as if embracing the entire space. Each feather reflects tones of deep blue and liquid gold. The ground at his feet seems a celestial mirror where heaven reflects upon itself. And with a voice vibrating in every cell of your body, he declares, "Beloved child, now that the flow has been activated, you must understand who you are within it. Your identity isn't that of the needy begging heaven, but of the heir cooperating with it. Your name is written in the divine matrix of purpose, and with every act of faith, the inscription glows brighter. The air vibrates. Around you appear light flashes, forming figures recalling faces, moments, fragments of your history. Some are memories of wounds, losses, errors. Others of silent triumphs, noble gestures, sincere love. The Archangel raises his hand, and all those images begin ordering in a spiral, spinning around you like a constellation. And then he says, "Nothing you lived was a mistake. It was all part of your identity's fabric. The shadows you faced formed the texture of your strength. The tears you shed became the waters cleansing your vision. You're not the sum of your errors, but the expression of a redeemed story. A stream of light descends from heaven, rests on your head, and slowly lowers to your feet. That energy covers you completely, forming a mantle of luminous transparency. It doesn't weigh, doesn't tighten, but its presence is unmistakable. And the Archangel declares, "This is your mantle of identity. You didn't earn it. It was assigned to you. You're bearer of the name of light. Where you walk, the atmosphere will change. Where you speak, heaven's vibration will manifest. You're ambassador of the divine in the human realm. As those words penetrate your interior, something begins awakening inside you. It's an ancient sensation, as if your soul remembered something forgotten for centuries, a deep certainty, an inner recognition. You're not separated from heaven. You never were." Archangel Michael, observing your transformation, smiles slightly. His eyes of ignited blue reflect infinite compassion and eternal authority. Then he continues, "The enemy always wanted you to see yourself small, weak, unworthy. But heaven always saw you great, complete, as a channel of its glory. Every time you doubted yourself, you dimmed that divine image's shine. But today, heaven cleans your inner mirror. From now on, you'll see yourself as God sees you, not as a beggar of miracles, but as a bearer of purpose." Then Michael traces with his sword a line of blue fire around you. The line becomes a circle of divine coverage. Within it, the air changes density. No more fear, noise, or weight. You feel as if inside a sphere of absolute calm. The Archangel says, "This circle is your spiritual boundary. Nothing not aligned with your purpose can cross it. No contrary word, no dark energy, no foreign thought can invade your atmosphere. It has been sealed in light covered by grace. The circle begins expanding. As it grows, you see the energy around you respond. Blocked situations begin moving. People who once drifted away reposition. Invisible doors crack open without noise. Divine coverage doesn't just protect, it reorders. Michael proceeds in revelatory voice. Your identity defines your coverage. Heaven only protects what it recognizes as its own. And you, by remembering who you are, have activated your eternal shield. From today, wherever you enter, light enters with you. Wherever you sleep, angels will guard. Wherever you speak, the atmosphere will respond. Not because you're perfect, but because you're aware of your origin. The atmosphere fills with a vibration not heard, but perceived. It's as if the earth itself breathes with you. Your physical body feels lighter, but your soul feels bigger, broader, more complete. The Archangel observes you in silence, and after seconds that seem eternal, pronounces solemnly, "You've lived too long trying to deserve what was already yours. Today, that struggle ends. You'll no longer seek human approval. Your value doesn't depend on recognition, but on essence. You're child of the kingdom, and no power can alter that truth. In that instant, a descending energy covers you completely. It's not an external shiny mantle, but an internal presence filling every corner of you. You feel as if light dresses you from within, pushing out doubt, insecurity, guilt. Michael raises his sword once more, points it to heaven, and a column of golden fire rises. From that column, a voice is heard so deep and clear, the entire universe seems to silence for it. This is my son, my daughter, in whom I am well pleased. No one can touch what is under my coverage. The sound dissolves, but the sensation remains. It's the certainty of being surrounded, protected, chosen. And the Archangel, in a softer tone, explains, sometimes you'll feel the world demands you defend yourself. Don't do it. Your defense is in the light covering you. That light is invisible to fear's eyes, but visible to faith's eyes. When others react, you remain. When others fall, you resist. Because you don't walk under luck, but under coverage. Then Michael extends his hand and touches your forehead. A symbol draws briefly with golden fire, a mark of recognition. You don't see it, but spiritual realms do. That mark indicates to the entire universe, this one belongs to the kingdom of light. The Archangel smiles with satisfaction, lowers his hand and says in a lower voice, almost like a father blessing his child, rest in your identity. Walk under your coverage. You're no longer vulnerable. You're bearer of presence. You're a reflection of heaven in motion, and wherever you go, the kingdom will manifest. The silence that follows isn't absence of sound. It's absolute fullness. The atmosphere breathes with you. Your heart beats with a new rhythm, firm and measured, the same beating in heaven's heart. And as you feel that perfect union, that certainty without cracks, you understand there's no longer distance between you and the divine. The light covering you isn't an external shield. It's the visible manifestation of your true spiritual name. The Archangel, moving away slowly, pronounces one last phrase before his figure dissolves in the glow. From today, no power can diminish you, because one who remembers their identity no longer walks toward blessing, but from it. The wind stills, the surroundings return to luminous calm, and you stand aware of something that can no longer be forgotten. Divine coverage doesn't surround you from outside. It is born from within. And as long as you keep your identity in truth, the entire heaven will move with you. There is a moment in the divine process where abundance stops being an isolated miracle and becomes a rhythm, a constant pulse vibrating from within outward. That moment has arrived. Archangel Michael positions himself before you. The atmosphere surrounding him expands with a light no longer limited to gold or blue colors. Now it's a symphony of living frequencies. Every ray he emits seems to contain a voice, a melody, an instruction. The air isn't air. It's pure movement, full of energy rising and falling like a golden sea breathing around you. Michael observes you with serene gaze and declares, you've learned to receive, you've learned to sustain. Now heaven introduces you to the dimension of increase. You'll no longer live from moments of favor, but from sustained flow. Because the kingdom doesn't deliver a blessing to be consumed, but a pattern of continuous expansion. He extends his sword and rests it gently on the ground. The point of contact begins glowing, and from the glow forms a circle growing and beating like a heart. Each pulsation emits an energy wave traversing the space, and with every expansion you feel something invisible inside you respond. Your breathing synchronizes with that vibration. Heaven's beat and yours align for an instant. You don't know if you're inhaling air or light, but you feel every exhalation open space for more blessing. Michael says, "Then this is the rhythm of increase, the beat in which the heavens move when a life enters sync with purpose. You no longer force, no longer ask, no longer wait. Now you flow. Every right thought is a note in the kingdom's symphony. Every inspired action is a seed planted in perfect time. Before you, the ground transforms into an enormous living clock. But its hands don't measure hours, they measure frequency. As the Archangel speaks, you see the clock's marks turn into golden paths, intertwining, forming a net connecting everything. Your decisions, your gifts, your relationships, your resources, your energy. Nothing is isolated. Everything is in movement. The Archangel continues. The universe doesn't stagnate. The kingdom knows no stillness. Growth is the nature of light. That's why I tell you, don't fear advancing. When you feel something expanding too fast, don't break it. Just ensure your soul is aligned." He extends his right hand, and from his palm rises a luminous spiral. The spiral ascends slowly, and as it turns, releases small flashes rising like newborn stars. Each represents an area of your life being touched. Work, ideas, relationships, health, creativity, faith, all begin vibrating with renewed glow. Heaven's increase doesn't arrive only to the material, explains Michael. It arrives to your perception, expands your capacity to see, understand, receive, because you can't sustain what you can't recognize. That's why heaven expands your mind first before your hands. You feel a soft pressure on your forehead, as if someone opened an internal portal. Your consciousness widens, and for a moment you can see the energy net connecting all things. The people who will arrive, the paths that will open, the decisions you made now revealed as exact movements of the divine plan. Michael smiles and adds, "Nothing in your life was wasted. Every failure transformed into an invisible foundation. Every loss fertilized the ground for new gain. Every weight strengthened the root of what now blooms." The entire space vibrates with his voice. The golden circle at your feet starts spinning, slow at first, then faster, and then you understand. Increase isn't accumulation, it's rhythm. It's the divine dance moving ceaselessly, expanding its own nature in you. The Archangel continues, "Many receive blessing and lose it because they believe favor is an endpoint. But heaven never ends in what it delivers. It always continues in what it transforms. True increase isn't measured in what you have, but in what you are after receiving." His sword rises, and a beam of light surges from the tip toward the heights. Heaven responds with an energy rain falling in small luminous filaments. Each touches a different part of you, your mind, your voice, your hands, your feet, and each touch leaves a sensation of expansion, as if your energy field grew larger, clearer, more radiant. The Archangel declares, "Increase doesn't arrive all at once. It maintains by rhythm. If you keep peace, gratitude, and obedience, every day you'll see more manifestations. Don't rush, don't compare, don't measure. Just remain in movement, because the kingdom moves with you." He points to the heart. From your chest rises a small white flame beginning to beat, as if imitating Earth's pulse. And then Michael says, "This is your spiritual metronome. Every time you doubt, Return to this rhythm. Every calm breath reinforces it. Every thought of faith accelerates it. Every act of love expands it. That's how heaven maintains the flow. You realize the expansion isn't happening only outside, but inside. Your mind feels more open, your body lighter, your spirit more conscious. The surroundings no longer feel foreign. Everything vibrates with you. The archangel smiles, lowers his sword, and says in a low voice, almost paternal advice, "Don't stop your advance for fear of losing the known. Heaven's increase never replaces. It perfects. What leaves wasn't loss. It was space freeing for the new. The flow doesn't retreat, it transforms. Suddenly the wind blows strongly, but it's not earthly wind. It's a living current of divine energy. You feel it surround you, elevate you effortlessly. And in that instant, you understand you're inside a cosmic pattern. Every experience, every decision, every step is connected. No fragments, only a complete melody heaven is performing with you. Michael raises his gaze and declares powerfully, "Celestial increase doesn't depend on seasons, it's continuous." That's why one entering this rhythm no longer lives from sporadic miracles, but from permanent favor. You no longer wait for blessing, you become its movement. The golden circle at your feet rises slowly until suspended around you. You realize it now accompanies you wherever you walk. It's the visible representation of perpetual flow. The archangel approaches, places his hand on your shoulder, and looking at you tenderly says, "From today, heaven will measure your days not by hours, but by expansion. Every dawn will bring something new you won't need to force. Just stay in the frequency. The kingdom doesn't advance by effort, but by alignment. The light around you stills. You feel a sensation of total presence, as if the entire universe were inside you, breathing at the same beat." And Michael whispers, in a low but eternal voice, "This is the rhythm of increase, a dance between your faith and heaven's precision. Walk in it, because one vibrating in this frequency no longer depends on time, but on the spirit's movement." The wind stops. The remaining silence isn't empty, it's fullness. Your body still vibrates with that soft, constant, uninterrupted pulse. You understand the divine flow isn't outside or above. It's in your breathing, your decisions, your awakened consciousness. And as the archangel's figure rises slowly, his last words reach you like a luminous seal, imprinting on your spirit. Increase isn't pursued, it is sustained, not obtained but embodied. And you, heaven's beloved, no longer walk toward abundance. You are abundance walking. The air vibrates one last time. The circle of light merges with you, and inside you begins a pulse that will never fade. Heaven's eternal rhythm expanding in you. Heaven doesn't move only in thunder or lightning, nor solely when everything shines or signs are evident. The kingdom operates with the same force in silence, in the everyday, in what seems unchangeable, because true spiritual greatness isn't measured in emotions, but in constancy. The ability to remain when nothing is felt, when everything seems still. When the soul traverses what Michael calls the gray day, the atmosphere begins to change. The gold of previous revelations softens, and in its place rises a soft, silver light, like mist that doesn't cover but embraces. No sound, no wind, just profound stillness. Archangel Michael manifests again, but this time without fire, without clamor, without dazzling shine. He's wrapped in almost human calm, a contained presence. His voice is lower, slower, more intimate. "Child of the eternal," he says, "you've known revelation, transfer, flow, and the rhythm of increase. But listen to this. Everything heaven delivered to you will be tested by one law, the law of the gray day. And that law says, only what remains in faith when there's no sensation is worthy of multiplication. The Archangel walks toward you, and with every step the ambient light seems to adjust to his movement. No drama, just perfect balance, a peace that teaches. The gray day proceeds. It's the day where you see no signs, your hands seem empty. Heaven guards silence, not because it abandoned you, but because it's measuring your maturity. It's on that day the believers by emotion separate from those living by conviction. His words settle in the air like firm notes. You feel something inside you adjust, stabilize, and understand constancy isn't tense resistance, but the soul's disciplined breathing. Michael stops before you. The ground under your feet seems transformed into a water mirror. The reflection you see isn't just your face, but that of your faith. Your reflection changes intensity according to what you feel. It glows when you remember promises, fades when you doubt. And the Archangel, pointing to that reflection, says in soft but firm tone, the secret of constancy is remembering in the dark what was revealed to you in the light. The enemy doesn't fear your powerful prayers. He fears your perseverance in silence. Because while others surrender in quiet, you keep walking without noise. And that invisible step is what sustains the spiritual world. From his sword bursts a very dim light, like a line of liquid silver. It doesn't shine like before, but its glow is deeper, more stable, like a flame needing no wind. So is the constancy of the righteous, he says. It needs no applause or evidence. It walks by rhythm, not result. The gray day isn't punishment, it's calibration. Then the surroundings change. You find yourself in a landscape where the sky is the color of dawn before full light. It's not night, but not yet day. Everything seems suspended, waiting. The Archangel explains, heaven created these intervals to purify intention, because anyone can praise when the miracle shines, but only kingdom heirs keep thanking when nothing moves. In that silent thanksgiving, angels find permission to continue working. Around him begin manifesting very small flashes, almost invisible, like dawn stars still refusing to fade. The Archangel lifts one with his sword's tip and says, these are the hidden rewards of the gray day. While the world thinks you're stopped, heaven is building your invisible foundations. Every right decision you maintain when no one sees. Every noble thought you choose amid fatigue. Every word of faith spoken without witnesses, all that accumulates in the vault of increase. His voice softens even more. It's the voice of a master not teaching theory, but experience. Remember this. The most lasting fruits aren't born in days of euphoria, but in gray days. Because the gray day trains you in patience, empties you of anxiety, teaches you to breathe in rhythm with heaven without need of emotion. As you listen, the landscape changes again. From the horizon begins emerging a thread of light, a very fine golden line cutting the mist. The Archangel smiles, nodding. The gray day always announces dawn. One who perseveres in constancy doesn't stay in shadow. They become the first to see new light. But beware, my child. Constancy isn't stubbornness. It doesn't consist in clinging in fear, but in releasing in faith. The ground under your feet starts palpating like a slow heart. It's heaven's beat measuring your persistence. Each pulsation is a divine question. Will you keep believing without evidence? Keep walking without applause? Keep sowing without visible sprouts? Michael raises his sword and rests it on your shoulder. His touch is firm, as if discharging invisible authority in you. Constancy transforms faith into structure. Every step of yours is a stone in the staircase others will climb. Every day you don't retreat, even if you want to. Heaven registers it as advance. The mist begins dissipating slowly. The gold returns, but not with fire's impulsive shine, rather with the mature glow of the sun that learned to wait for its own dawn. The Archangel straightens and says, "Now you understand." Heaven doesn't ask for eternal strength. It asks for sustained direction. It doesn't need to be a torrent. It's enough to be a river, because the river doesn't stop. Sometimes it flows fast, sometimes drags, but always advances toward the sea. Then the sound of a river begins heard behind you. You don't see it, but its presence is undeniable. The water flows constant, firm, without unnecessary noise. And Michael concludes, so your spirit must be. Noise belongs to the beginning. Constancy belongs to those who have matured. The gray day won't be your enemy, it will be your teacher. And when you learn its rhythm, you'll discover even stillness produces abundance. The Archangel opens his wings slowly. His feathers reflect both shadow and light. And that origin, now you understand, is you. The air vibrates, but there's no sound. Time stops. Not because it's ended, but because it no longer matters. And in that calm, indescribable with words, Archangel Michael appears again. His form is no longer that of the luminous warrior or powerful messenger. Now it's pure presence. His wings seem to merge with the surroundings. His face no longer has defined features, but reflects what you are. Heaven has literally become mirror. Michael approaches. Each step dissolves the distance you thought real, and when finally before you, he places his hand on your heart. You feel the pulse of his palm and yours beating at the same beat. No difference. The border between you and the divine disappears, and then, with a voice no longer sounding outside, but inside your own soul, he says, "The work is complete." Heaven doesn't observe you from above, now it breathes in you. You're part of the eternal circuit, the point where divinity experiences itself through love. His hand on your chest glows with warm intensity. From that contact surges an energy current extending in circles, traveling all directions. As the energy propagates, you see the surroundings change. No longer separation between earth, heaven, or spirit. Everything vibrates in unity. Everything moves in harmony. The entire universe seems to exhale one word. One. The Archangel continues, his voice like a light thread weaving final understanding. For a long time, you thought heaven was a place, that God was there and you here, that the miracle had to descend from above. But now you know heaven isn't reached, it's remembered. And you, beloved child, have remembered it. You've returned to the center where everything began. Around him appear thousands of angelic figures. Their wings form a perfect circle extending to the horizon. They don't sing with voice, but with vibration. Every encounter of yours with another human will be a divine intersection. Through you, the threads of the celestial plan intertwine to fulfill the greater purpose. Suddenly the sky opens over you, and a column of golden fire descends. Within it, thousands of letters float, names, prayers, invisible acts of kindness. And Michael declares, heaven records not successes, but acts of love. That's the true inheritance. What you build with power will be forgotten, but what you do with compassion will be eternal. The love you give doesn't die. It becomes a life current the universe preserves. The golden light envelops you completely. You feel your spirit dilate, as if your physical body could no longer contain so much expansion. You're part of the movement. No borders between you and light, between you and the divinity commissioning you. The Archangel leans a bit toward you and in a tone of absolute tenderness, almost paternal, whispers, "From today, you won't walk alone anymore. The celestial court will move with you. Where you speak truth, angels will act. Where you extend your hands, they will complete the work. And where your heart loves sincerely, God's Spirit will dwell. You then see a great golden balance appear in the sky. One tray contains what you gave, your prayers, your gestures, your words. The other, what heaven now delivers, authority, purpose, expansion. Both balance with perfect exactness. And the Archangel says, heaven doesn't pay with coins or material rewards. Heaven pays with reach. Every good thing you do will extend beyond you. Your legacy will be multiplied by invisible generations. The sound of thousands of wings filling the air surrounds you. The entire heaven seems to move in approval. Michael raises his sword once more and pronounces the decree sealing your commission. Your ambassador of the kingdom, your bearer of divine flow. Your presence transforms atmospheres. Your voice is decree. Your step is blessing. A soft, enveloping frequency seems to traverse matter and cleanse any residue of doubt left in you. You feel light, expanded, eternal. Michael smiles and says, now you understand why heaven waited so long for you. Not because you weren't ready to receive, but because you needed to learn to recognize what was always inside. You've traversed the complete journey, from faith that asks to faith that manifests, from heart that seeks to heart that remembers, from human who waits to soul that knows. His sword appears one last time, but not as weapon. Now it's an instrument of consecration. He raises it over your head, and a golden spark falls directly on you. That spark enters your chest, and from there begins expanding until covering you completely. You are light. Your physical body is no longer limit, it's vehicle. Your mind no longer doubts, it understands. Your spirit no longer asks, it radiates. The Archangel then pronounces the final decree, a proclamation sealing what heaven just established. It is done. The flow doesn't end, it perpetuates. The connection doesn't break, it anchors. Heaven isn't coming, it's present. And you are its living manifestation. The vibration of his words traverses the space. Everything around you seems to pulse at the rhythm of that truth. The stars beat, the earth breathes. Your heart aligns with creation's eternal beat. The Archangel leans and whispers, almost as if confiding a personal secret. Don't return to fear. Don't relapse. Just remember this. Heaven doesn't activate when you pray loud, but when you breathe in gratitude. Every conscious breath is a prayer the universe hears. Then with a smooth movement he opens his wings and extends them over you. His feathers dissolve into pure light and fall slowly, covering you like a rain of gold, merging with your skin. No weight, just warmth, immense tenderness, absolute belonging. Michael raises his gaze to the infinite and declares, the mission is fulfilled. Michael smiles. Do you see it now? Heaven never took anything from you. It only reorganized you. It never left you waiting. It was maturing you. It didn't deny paths. It kept you from shortcuts that would have destroyed your route. The spiral dissolves slowly, leaving a sensation of perfect order. You feel that for the first time in a long time, nothing in you is out of place. The Archangel continues. The kingdom's final secret is this. Everything you asked in faith already exists, but you haven't recognized it yet because your frequency didn't match its level. God doesn't make weight, he makes ascend. And when the heart reaches the right height, what seemed distant becomes inevitable. Then Michael raises his sword and points it to heaven. A line of pure light descends from the firmament and pierces you completely. You feel no pain or weight, just total expansion, a clarity surpassing all logic. Your mind silences, your spirit activates, your body relaxes. In that instant, you understand the truth the Archangel is revealing. Manifestation doesn't come from heaven to you, but from you to heaven. Your soul is the portal. your faith the language, your gratitude the permission, and your consciousness the channel. Michael, pleased, says, heaven isn't above, it's in the interior of the aligned being. While you believed you waited for intervention, heaven waited for your understanding. Now that you've understood it, you won't need signs anymore, because you've become a living sign yourself. The air fills with luminous particles, millions of small sparks spinning around you. Each carries a brief message, a word, a reminder: trust, remain, advance, rest. Everything has purpose. It's as if heaven were speaking to you in its original language, without noise, without urgency, only vibration. The Archangel continues his teaching. Every time you thank without seeing, an invisible seed germinates. Every time you choose peace amid chaos, a portal opens. Every time you choose to believe amid adversity, you light invisible torches, guiding those who will walk after you. The atmosphere fills with a sweet sense of responsibility, not heavy. You know you're no longer just receiver, but bearer. And Michael, seeing your spirit understand, continues, your life becomes a message today. You won't need to preach with grand speeches. Your mere presence will speak. The peace you carry will be a language. The gratitude you express will be a beacon. The obedience with which you walk will open paths where there was only barren land before. His wings open slowly, and from them detach light fragments floating toward you like seeds. Each seed rests on a different part of your body, one on your mouth, another on your hands, another on your heart. And the Archangel explains, these are the 3 assignments of legacy: the word, the action, and the intention. With your word you'll build, with your hands you'll transform, and with your intention you'll create atmospheres where heaven can manifest. You feel the seeds vibrating at each point. They're warm, constant, alive. The Archangel observes you and says in a voice containing love and authority, from now on, your words won't be sound, they'll be design. Your voice will carry heaven's signature. When you speak with love, you'll open doors. When you bless, matter will respond. And when you call favor, creation will come. Because one who has understood heaven's flow doesn't just receive miracles, they provoke them. The landscape changes. You find yourself on a luminous plain where thousands of paths cross like veins of light. Each path represents a story, a destiny, a soul. The Archangel raises his sword and traces a line on the ground uniting them. That line ignites with intense clarity and shines toward the horizon. Then Michael says, you're a connector of paths. Heaven has placed in you the capacity to unite what was dispersed. Your existence is proof. A wave of energy traverses the space and lifts you a few centimeters from the ground. It's not physical flight, it's spiritual ascension. You feel your soul widen, your consciousness open to broader dimensions. Heaven is no longer far. You perceive it in every molecule, every vibration, every instant. The Archangel observes you and concludes, child of light, the mission you receive isn't to preach, but to be reflection, to be harmony, to be love incarnate. That's your commission, and your legacy will be the echo of this truth in the hearts you touch, even if they never know your name. The words resonate beyond the scene. You feel something imprint on your being's core, a seal, eternal memory. And as the Archangel rises slowly to the higher dimension, his voice remains audible one last time, firm, loving, definitive. The flow doesn't end with you. Your link in a lineage of awakened souls. Maintain peace, honor gratitude, and live in obedience. Heaven will follow you wherever you go, because now you are part of its expansion. The air stills. Everything returns to silence, but it's not a closing silence, it's continuation. Inside you, you feel the kingdom's pulse beating with purpose, and you understand this isn't a story that ends, but one that begins with you. And so, in that instant of recognition, as the divine presence anchors definitively in your consciousness, the Archangel's final phrase engraves in soft fire within your spirit: your life is the continuation of the miracle. Your legacy, heaven's extension. Walk and let the kingdom manifest through you. The light surrounding everything begins softening. No longer scenes, visions, or celestial figures moving, just immense, silent, golden clarity encompassing all. That light doesn't expand outward. It begins concentrating in you, as if the entire universe were returning to its origin point. The bearer has awakened. The kingdom has extended. There will no longer be separation between God and his creation, because heaven dwells in those who remember. The light around you begins rising, but you don't feel yourself ascending. You feel expanding, simply occupying more space, as if your consciousness multiplied and reached every universe corner. You are witness and testimony, message and messenger, reflection and source. And in that instant of pure expansion, one last phrase arrives, not as voice, but as certainty engraved in your spirit's depths. You're not a visitor to heaven, you're its living extension. Everything you touch you'll bless. Everything you look at will bloom. Everything you thank will remain. The Archangel smiles one last time, and his figure begins dissolving in the glow. But before disappearing completely, he leaves one final gesture. He places the sword before his chest, bows his head in honor, and pronounces the words sealing forever your pact with the divine. Walk in peace, bearer of light. Heaven no longer observes you, it moves with you. Everything silences. No farewell, because nothing separates. Just a profound sensation of eternity, presence, absolute love. And as you feel your own breathing return to Earth's rhythm, an unshakable certainty remains engraved inside you like the purest echo of the universe. Heaven already began in me. That phrase vibrates like an invisible seal. The energy stabilizes. Your heart beats, and in every beat you recognize the divine language. Fullness, calm, unity, expansion. You no longer wait for anything, no longer seek signs, because now you know without doubt that heaven wasn't the destination, but the home always inside your soul. And so, in the most luminous silence, the final message closes not with a period, but with a breath uniting heaven and earth. It is done, it is sealed. Heaven dwells in you, and its light will never fade, yeah. The air doesn't blow, but it breathes. The space doesn't move, but it's alive. It's the atmosphere of mystery, the point where soul and God meet without intermediaries. Michael looks at you fixedly and says in serene voice, "Child of presence, you've arrived at the threshold of eternal wisdom. Heaven showed you miracles, taught you faith, formed you in patience, but now comes the secret not taught with words, but with inner revelation. This is the knowledge reserved for those who remain. Heaven doesn't delay, heaven prepares." His words are so simple that at first they seem obvious. But as they settle inside you, they begin unfolding like a cosmic flower opening in slow motion. You feel something inside expand and calm at once. You suddenly understand no wait was punishment, no closed door was rejection, no divine silence was indifference. Every second of apparent delay was secret alchemy, a process of adjustment between your time and heaven's time. The Archangel extends his right hand. In his palm forms a luminous symbol, a golden spiral spinning on itself. Its movement isn't fast or slow, it's perfect. The center glows with a white tone that doesn't blind, but emits profound vibration. Michael holds it before you and says, "Look at this spiral. It represents divine purpose's movement. It never advances in straight line. It always ascends in circles. Every time you thought you returned to the same point, you were actually on a higher turn. What seemed repetition was ascent. The spiral floats between you both. You can feel its energy like a soft current surrounding you, enveloping you in a different understanding of time and life. Stages of your past begin appearing inside that spiral. Moments of triumph, loss, doubt, learning, and one by one, they connect until forming a coherent sequence. Everything fits. Everything has sense. And his voice, deep as an ancient river, declares, "Child of light, the process has culminated, but the story barely begins." What heaven deposited in you wasn't just to transform you, but to multiply through you. You've received, sustained, understood. Now you'll be channeled. The flow in you will become inheritance for those to come. Around him the air opens in a circle of blue and golden energy. Within that circle, you see reflections of faces, some known, others unknown, people who will cross your path. Souls you'll touch one day without knowing, lives altered by the light now dwelling in you. The Archangel points toward them and says, "This is your legacy. Every word of yours, every gesture, every act of love, every decision guided by faith will leave a mark on others' paths." Heaven didn't bless you just for your well-being, but to make you living proof that faith sustains universes. The atmosphere densifies with sacred vibration. Around you, the lights move, forming what seems moving writing, symbols spinning, ascending like golden smoke. And Michael explains, every person walking in purpose generates waves in eternity. Every choice aligned with truth changes reality's fabric. No action is small when from divine consciousness. Your days, your words, your steps, everything you do in love will be multiplied in generations you won't see. He shows you then a scene, a mother pronouncing words of faith, a young man deciding to forgive, an elder praying for another without knowing them. Or glow, and behind them a line of light extends to where your sight doesn't reach. Each is extension of another. Every ignited faith comes from a previous spark. And the Archangel says, "So the kingdom propagates, not by imposition, but by contagion of light. Every time you forgive, the flow accelerates. And every time you love, heaven descends." That's the frequency where God lives. His words resonate like an endless symphony, like a sound wave merging with your breathing. And then he adds, "Listen well, what you call miracle isn't exception. It's the normal nature of the universe when the soul is aligned with love. That's why one maintaining gratitude and faith doesn't live waiting, lives creating. An energy current rises from the earth and another descends from heaven. Both meet in your chest. You feel a warm, continuous, harmonious vibration. No longer inside or outside, up or down. Everything is one. Everything is God breathing through you." Michael lowers his sword and approaches closer, so close you can feel the force of his presence. His gaze has no distance or judgment. It has truth and says, "This is the secret transforming every life. Don't seek heaven, be heaven. Turn your mind into temple, your words into offering, your actions into living prayers. Then you won't need to ask more, because the universe will recognize in you the tone of the Creator." The subsequent silence is total, but not empty. It's the silence where all answers are contained. You feel the profound understanding that everything is well, no errors in the design, even detours led you to the right path. The Archangel raises both hands, and from his palms falls a rain of white light. Each particle touches your body and absorbs as if traversing it. You feel something change in your energy field. You no longer vibrate in desire's frequency, but in fulfillments. And he says, heaven doesn't reward the one asking much, but the one who finally understands they already have everything. True faith doesn't supplicate, it recognizes. The true believer doesn't wait, manifests, the surroundings begin dissolving. The space's light mixes with your own body's light until no difference. You don't know if you're inside heaven or heaven inside you. Both have become inseparable. The Archangel steps back. His wings extend, and before rising again, he leaves one last message vibrating like eternal decree. The last secret isn't about the future, but about understanding. The miracle doesn't happen when something changes outside, but when you remember who you truly are, a living spark of eternal light. From that moment, nothing is out of your reach, because you're no longer seeking God, you're expressing Him. The final light descends. Your spirit remains wrapped in a calm you didn't know. And as the Archangel disappears in immensity, a soft and profound voice arises inside you, not in your ears, but in your consciousness. Heaven wasn't waiting for the perfect moment. Heaven was waiting for you to recognize yourself. Now that you know, the entire universe will move in harmony with you, and that phrase, so simple and powerful, engraves in your soul's silence like invisible fire. Heaven doesn't delay, heaven prepares. And when you're ready, everything arrives in the exact instant. Then for the first time, you understand what true rest means. Not the body's rest, but the spirit's, that no longer strives to reach what it always had inside. You've received the last secret, and with it the absolute freedom of knowing you're one with heaven. The silence after the last secret's revelation isn't empty. It's fullness. Heaven's echo affirming the inner work is complete. But as that calm settles, something begins moving. It's not wind's sound or sphere's murmur. It's the call, an ancient, powerful call, not coming from outside, but from your own spirit's interior. Archangel Michael reappears before you, no longer glowing with war's fire, but with a master's glow, concluding eternal teaching. His presence doesn't impose, it sustains. His gaze doesn't demand, it invites. You've already learned to see purpose in both clear and dark, because you've traversed obedience, faith, constancy, and silence. Heaven no longer needs to speak to you from above, because it begins speaking from within. And that's the moment the last secret is revealed. Archangel Michael approaches slowly. His presence, once vibrating like fire or glow, now feels closer, more human, more intimate. No longer shining with dazzling light, but with profound clarity, penetrating without burning. The atmosphere around him seems suspended in absolute equilibrium.